Okay, so those are the fill in the blanks. So just pause the video. You could fill those in. I'm going to go down here. This is the pre-image, which is just this right here. We've already written those in. We want to go 90 degrees counter, or 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, let's think of a clock, y'all. So if we've got a clock on the wall, clockwise is going to be, so clockwise is going to be this direction, okay? Counter clockwise is going to be that direction. Okay, it's the difference between clockwise and counterclockwise. Clockwise goes this way, counterclockwise goes that way. That's going to be helpful for the very last section of Delta Math today. The one where you have to identify between reflections and rotations. All right, and then here's kind of like our cheat sheet for all three of these. So we're going to go 90 degrees clockwise. So we're wanting to switch the x and y and change the sign of the x value. But here's the deal. All of these start out as positive, so I just want to point this out. If it started out as negative, if like this x started out as a -2 instead of a +2, you would just do the opposite of that. You would change it to a positive. If it starts out negative, change it to positive. If it starts out positive, change it to negative. And you guys may be like, okay, I get it. But I'm telling you, that is the mistake, like really the only mistake that people make when doing this. You switch them, so 6 goes here, and then change the sign of the x value. All right? So switch the numbers, change the sign. We're going A to A prime. So +6, -2. I'm going to come down here and graph it. 1, 2, 6, -2. That is our A prime. So let's do the same for B and C. We're going to switch them. The y stays the same. The x changes sign, so -2. So 1, -6. Okay? So I'm going to take these 2 points and I'm going to plot them. 1, -2. That is our B prime. 1, -6. That is our C prime. Okay? I'm going to pause first. So, go ahead and get that drawn and labeled. I'm going to pause for just a second, and what I want you to do is look at this 90 degrees counterclockwise, and I want you to then go, so we're starting with A. So starting with these points, go down here and do what it says. You're going to switch them, but now instead you're going to change the y value. Okay. So for this first one, 90 degrees counterclockwise, we are going from here to here. So we're switching, I might as well show them, switching it, but changing the sign of the first one instead. So check and see what you wrote. If you got them wrong, it's okay, just fix it. But I want you to see like what is changing. You're flipping it. Also make sure you didn't accidentally go from this one to this one. We're going from this top one to here. You're switching it, and you're changing the sign. All right, so what I want to do first, so we have those written down. Before I plot those, you may have already plotted them, and that's okay. But what I need you guys to do is like write these down, and then I need you to like your eyes up here on the screen. So if you're not done writing yet, just pause for a second. Like finish writing and look up here, because I'm going to show you something. Okay. So on this paper, I just have like a piece of patty paper. I just like traced that shape. So let's think of like what the heck does it mean to do clockwise, and what's the difference in clockwise and counterclockwise. If I turn this paper 90 degrees clockwise, you can like actually see what's going on. And also, let's think about like what does it mean to be 90 degrees clockwise? Like how do you know how much to turn it when I say 90 degrees? Well, every single one of you in here knows what 360 degrees is, right? All right. And so like half of that is 180. So if I'm facing this way, if I turn around 180 degrees, so that would be like turning a piece of paper upside down would be a 180. But 90 is just a quarter of that. So a quarter turn. And remember we talked about quadrants on Monday. So each quarter is a different quadrant. So if I turn this 90 degrees clockwise, so a clock goes like this, it's going to look like that. That's how that works. So you're not just like arbitrarily taking these points and switching them and changing signs. Like there is a method to the madness, or like a reason why this works. So So here, if I go the opposite direction and I go counterclockwise 90 degrees, so I take this quadrant, move it over to this quadrant, I turn a quarter turn, it's going to look like that when I place it. So let's test it. Let's write the points down. So -6, 2. Oh, I put it at 7. Darn. -6, 2. -1, 2. -1, 6. So I'm going to act like that didn't happen and write A double prime. This one's C double prime, and the one closest to the origin is B double prime. All right, and I'll give you a chance to write that on your paper. And then we're going to look here using this patty paper. It shows you, if I turn this, it's that exact same shape that I just turned 90 degrees counterclockwise, and voila, it is the same shape. It is literally the exact same thing, and it works every time with that rule. Okay? All right. All right, last one, super easy. This one's my favorite one. Anytime it says 180, you are just changing the sign of the x and y value. So the negative means to change the sign. All right, so it goes from positive to negative. So we're going here to here. So -2, -6, -2, -1, -6, -1. And we can plot all of these points. -2, -6. That's A. And then 3 apostrophes. -2, -1. That's B, and 3 apostrophes. And then -6, -1, and that's going to be C, and 3 apostrophes. Okay, and so notice, it's not like reflected over, like it looks different. It's not like you are taking this and folding it over. So you'll see the difference here. You're not just taking this paper and folding it. See, it like goes a little further down. It's the C is over here instead of the A. For if you're reflecting it. So rotation and reflection is different, but if I take this and I turn it upside down, that is what's happening. And so that will help you to identify that. Okay, now this is super important. This is something that you guys have to write down. So if you guys think, okay, I understand this is super easy, great. This part is going to be asked, and it's not on this paper unless you write this in. So it asks this question: what would the coordinates be if the pre-image was rotated 270 degrees counterclockwise? All right, let's think about this. So, 270 clockwise. Okay, so it's like, again, I think I heard it. Yes, it's 90 times 3. So it's like 3/4 turns, one direction. What would that be in the other direction? Because remember, it's like a circle. So if you go like 1, 2, 3 turns this way, that's the same as this one, which was 90 degrees counterclockwise. That's that second one that we drew. So 270 clockwise is the same as 90 counter clockwise. They're literally the same. So you're going to see that. So I want on the top of your page for you to write CCW equals counterclockwise. Because on here, we need to write 270 CCW. You can write counterclockwise there if you can fit it. I just cannot. I cannot fit that there. All right, and then here, 90 is the same as 270 clockwise. They are the same. So 1/4 turn one way is the same as 3/4 turns the other direction. And then last but not least, this negative sign, like that, means change the sign. Actually, I'm just going to write down here. I'm going to put like a little arrow and point it this way. Negative means change sign. All right, I really think that will be helpful because you might forget that negative means change sign. It's the same thing we did for reflections. We changed the sign. Just don't forget that.